Hello, I'm Mike of Mike and Allie's Vintage eBay and Etsy stores, with you today with some of our latest thrifting hauls. And the hauls this week, I'm looking at them right now, a lot of books. We had a great week for books of all ages and all kinds of subject matters, and we're going to take a look at some of them here in just a couple of moments, a couple of other items mixed in as well. Before we do, though, I want to remind you to hit the subscribe button down below, and also down in the description area we have links to both our eBay and Etsy stores, so you can check those out after the video. Let's get started, see what we've got. I'm going to start out with this. This is a blank cassette tape. It is still sealed. Aiko is a Japanese brand, and I think I'm pronouncing it right. I won't make any guarantees there. It's a metal cassette, 46 minutes in length. And apparently these are pretty high-end, and they're somewhat rare, my understanding as well. So not something you're going to see very often. They definitely have some value to them, but apparently very high-quality cassette, has that reel-to-reel tape look in it as well. And again, never been opened. Moving on, we've got a record album, Jesse McCartney. And Jesse was a teenage heartthrob about, 17 or 18 years ago. Beautiful Soul is the name of the album. It came out in 2004 in digital form, and then in 2019 they brought the vinyl version out. It's white vinyl, and this copy is still sealed. It's never been opened. You see it right through there. There is a little bit of a bend up here in the corner of the cover, but it doesn't affect the record, of course. It's up past where the record would be. So the vinyl part should be fine. Check that out in our eBay store. Let's see what we've got for books now. Our oldest book, that's what we're going to start out with. A Girl in 10,000, part of the Snug Corner series. And it was written by an L.T. Mead. It was first released in 1905, and then there has been many other printings over the ensuing 100-plus years. I'm not sure exactly how old this copy is. This may be a 1905 copy. It may be just a little bit newer. I'm pretty sure, though, it is over 100 years old, just looking at the cover and everything. You could see the pages there, actually in pretty good shape, but there was a little bit of yellowing, but not too bad. Here, we'll open up again so you can get another look there. But, yeah, for its age, it's still in pretty solid condition. Moving on, a little bit newer, we've got a Pillsbury Kitchens cookbook. It is the spiral bound, 5 spirals in fact, or 5 rings I guess you would call it. 1984 is when this particular copy came out. That was the 6th printing. The book itself was first released in 1979. It's kind of heavy here, so I got to set it down so I can open it up here. The front page here has gotten a little bit of tear in it. It has come loose there from the bottom too. You know, you can get those little rings at the office supply stores that you could stick on there, and that would probably take care of that. But it's full of recipes. It's got them divided into different categories, as you can see here with the tabs on the side. So a nice book. Overall, it's still in really good shape. Get it up here a little higher so you can see it better. There we go. Pillsbury Kitchens Cookbook. Try not to set it on top of the record album. We don't want to break that. That would kind of be a bummer, wouldn't it? Our next book is from 1973. This is The Anatomy of Human Destructiveness by Erich Fromm. Even has a picture of him on the back right there. And this is a hardcover. Still has the dust jacket. As you can tell, there's some wear on the dust jacket. It's got some tears mostly around the edges. You can see here on the back a little bit too. We open it up. Maybe. There we go. And you can see there, a little bit better shape. Pages are in good shape. But that is a book that we've got in our eBay store, and maybe have that in Etsy too. I'll have to double check on that one. Well, if you're my age or within 20 years or so either way, chances are at some point in your childhood you read Mad Magazine. And if you remember, they used to take some of their drawings out of the magazines and collect them together every so often and make books, little softcover books, like these two right here. The Recycled Mad and More Mad About Sports. More Mad About Sports is from 1977. Recycled Mad came out in 1972, but this is a 1976 printing. And if you're a Hoosier like me, where I'm from originally, the great state of Indiana, you're going to be interested in that price tag right there. Hook's Drugs, remember them? So apparently this book started life in Indiana and wound up down here in North Carolina somehow. Just like I did, except I know how I did. 1941 for this next book. It's called Reading I've Liked by Clifton Fodiman. I hope I pronounced his last name right. Again, for its age, it's in good condition. And hardcover, not a whole lot of wear to the cover. There's the inside. Take a look at the pages. A little bit of yellowing, but not much. This book has held up well, been well taken care of over the years. So if you ever wondered what readings Clifton liked, that's the book you need right there. If you're a fan of the University of Tennessee football, you may be familiar with the name Herman Hickman. And if you're a fan of Yale University football, you might be familiar with Herman Hickman. Herman was an All-American football player at Tennessee back in the late 1920s, played some pro football as well, and then became a longtime assistant coach at Wake Forest and NC State and Army before becoming head coach in the early 50s, or I think actually late 40s, at Yale University. He was also a well-known speaker on the after-dinner circuit, TV personality, radio personality as well, and this is a book that he wrote in 1953. When I first saw the cover, and I have to admit, I really am not familiar with Herman. I first saw the cover, I thought it was a very young Jonathan Winters. Though it does. It kind of looks like Jonathan in his younger days. In fact, that hat kind of looks like the hat he wore, if you remember in the movie, It's a Mad, 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 Mad World. He kind of wore a hat similar to that. You kind of get an idea here. The pages are in pretty good shape. And I think there is some writing, yeah. Apparently it was a gift, and somebody wrote here on the inside, the front cover, to the person that they were giving the book to. Herman himself, I think, passed away in 1958, was relatively young when he passed away. But again, if you're a Tennessee fan, that might be something you would be interested in, or just a fan of college football history. From 1972, we've got this book. This was written by Cecil Woodham Smith. It's called Queen Victoria, and a hardcover book. It got a picture of the author on the back. The dust jacket is in pretty good condition. There's a few small tears here and there. There's the most notable one right there in the back. You can take a look here at the book itself inside. Got some pictures in there too. And in case you wonder, you might see me kind of looking down off of the angle. I've got a monitor over there, trying to make sure that I've got everything up here so you can see it. More important than being able to see me. But anyway, Queen Victoria book, From Her Birth to the Death of the Prince Consort. So if you're into UK history or the UK monarchy, that's a book you definitely want to check out. From 1960, here's another one we just picked up recently. It's Annette Funicello, a Disney book. It's called Sierra Summer. This book is in, I would say, fair to good condition. It's not perfect. It's got a few little issues here and there. I think somebody's name is written inside the front cover. The cover itself is still pretty solid. Feels like there just might be a little skosh of looseness there, but you know, it's not coming apart or anything. You take a look at the pages, got a little bit of yellowing going on, but again, overall, pretty good shape, pretty good condition. If you're old enough to remember Annette, you might have had that book at one time, or might be interested in getting that one right there. Got that one, I think, on both eBay and Etsy. All these books are in our eBay store. Some of them are in Etsy, not all of them. It kind of depends on the subject matter or how old they are. Cookbooks, for instance, tend to do well on Etsy, so we always have them on there. On the other hand, I don't know, the Herman Hickman book maybe wouldn't do so good on Etsy, but would do better on eBay. So, again, they're all going to be on eBay. Some of them are on Etsy, so you just take a look and see where it's at. This one is from 1962, Shaking the Nickel Bush by Ralph Moody. And this is actually a signed book. Ralph signed it and made a little inscription to somebody. It's still got, of course, the dust jacket on it, and somebody has taped the dust jacket into place, so we're not going to try to take it loose, but if you buy the book and you want to do that, obviously you're more than welcome to try that. You can check the pages out here. Good condition. Really not a whole lot of yellowing on this one. It's held up pretty well for its 50 plus, actually getting close to 60 years of existence. Got a couple of interesting books here from the world of agriculture. I actually have one of these right here. I think I might have a little older copy. This is the 28th edition from 1957 of the Operation and Care and Repair of Farm Machinery. John Deere used to put these out. I don't know how many editions they put out, but I don't think they put them out anymore. Of course, everything's computerized now, and they don't even want you to work on your equipment now. They want you to bring it in, and so they can charge you lots of money for them to do it. In fact, that's been a controversy lately about farmers wanting to get software so they can work on their own equipment, particularly tractors and combines. And John Deere and Case and New Holland, some of them, they don't want you to do that, again, because they want you to spend the big bucks for the repairman. And as a result, used tractors as old as 40 years old now have seen a surge in demand in the marketplace because you can get a 40-year-old tractor, work on it yourself. But it's got some great pictures in here, and it talks about what to do with all types of farm machinery that Deere was producing back in the late 1950s. There's one of their vintage combines, a good bit smaller than what they are nowadays. The behemoths you see now with the 40-foot heads and 16-row corn heads, I think they might even be up to 24 now. This one also from the world of agriculture from 1947. This is a Popular Mechanics Farm Manual, and this is a really cool book to look through. I was looking through it the other day, and just all kinds of neat things they show. They show you how to make a scoop, or what we call a front-end loader, also how to make a little scraper for your tractor, and all kinds of other things to do with equipment and livestock equipment and things, as far as growing grain and vegetables and things like that. Again, that came out in 1947. Obviously, some of the things in there are going to be a little bit dated, but there's going to be things in there that you might find still handy, and well, it's just going to be a fun book to look through, especially if you grew up in the world of agriculture or you're still involved in the world of agriculture. Our next book, actually set of books, it's a duo here from 1975, the Doubleday Cookbooks, Volumes 1 and 2. They're hardcovers with dust jackets. You can tell the dust jackets do have some wear on them. They've been torn up a little bit, but the books themselves are in good shape. Here you can see what I'm talking about with the dust jacket on Volume 2 right there, but take a look inside, and you can see that the book is in good shape. The book itself is fine. Just, dust jackets are made of paper, and over time they kind of get wore down, especially if the book is getting used in it all. There are some pictures mixed in them as well. You can tell here, too. They give you pictures of some of the recipes of, how they're supposed to look when you get done. They never look that way when you actually do the recipes, but they show you what they're supposed to look like. From 1974, I've got this one right here. Book about Salvador Dali. It's got a little bit of a write-up in the very front of it talking about the career of the artist, and lots of pages showing some of his various works. You can tell it's a soft cover, good condition. If you're an art fan, or particularly a fan of Dali, that's a book that you're going to be interested in checking out closer. Oh, we got another cookbook here. The J.C. Chuckwagon Cookbook. This is from 1972. It was put out by the Colorado Springs, Colorado J.C.'s. And I think most of the recipes here are of Western, Southwestern style cooking. You can tell here all some of the different things that they have. Back cover's got a little bit of a crease right here, but overall the book is in good shape. There should be some really interesting recipes in there. This next one, I think this is the second oldest book that I've got today to show you. Sing with Ozzie Nelson. I'm going to tell you something. I tried to do this video yesterday, and everything was going great till I got to this one right here. We had some weather in the area, and the lights started flickering. And every time I'd bring it up to show it, the lights would start flickering. So we finally gave up and waited till today when the weather was better. But anyway, this book, I believe, is from around 1937. It's got a little bit of a timeline in the front about Ozzy's career, but it only goes up to about 1936. So I believe, again, this is a 36 or 37 edition. It's got pictures of many band leaders and vocalists and the lyrics to many of the popular songs of that era throughout there as well. Ozzie Harriet, you probably are familiar with. Now, if you're a little bit younger, maybe you're not. Ozzy was a band leader, and in this day and age is most remembered as the father of the late Ricky Nelson. And they, of course, was a part of a TV show for many years, Ozzy and his wife Harriet, along with Ricky and their other son David. If you're a little bit younger than me, and I'm in my mid-50s, in the early 50s, or if you're a little bit younger than I am, you might remember Ricky's sons that had a brief moment of spotlight back in the early 90s. They just went by the simple name of Nelson. And I think one of them's first name was Gunner, and I forget what the other one was. Somebody remembers that, you can throw that down in the comments down there for us. Here's another cookbook, this one from 1966, Woman's Day Encyclopedia of Cookery, Volume 1. This is an original edition. I want to say they had like 12 volumes of this total. I'm not sure on that number, but that's what runs in my mind. On the back page here, it shows you some of the recipe things that they have, that they're covering in this particular book. Got a little bit of stains on it. Obviously somebody had it and used it, just didn't leave it setting up on the shelf. And you can tell, though, the pages themselves are in good shape. Got some nice pictures. And, you know, I always kind of like the graphics of these books from the 60s and early 70s. They always seem to be bright and vivid. And, you know, sometimes you even go back into the 40s and 50s, and some of the books from that era will be similar as well. Reach back over here. Another one. This is one of the newer ones. This one is still sealed. This one's never even been opened. The Stories of Berry Hill by Peter W. Hairston. This is from 2005. And this book actually is set in North Carolina. This is, I think, again, you know, I can't open the book because it's sealed, but my understanding is it's about, I don't know, like a plantation perhaps that his ancestors had here in North Carolina back in the 1700s. All right, reach over here. Americana Magazine. I don't know if you remember that or not. This was put out by the American Heritage Society. These are the first ones I've ever seen of Americana, or at least that I remember seeing. They kind of remind me of the Reminiscing magazine. If you've ever seen that one, these kind of remind me of those. Similar, kind of looking back at things from our past. And all of these books, there's 7 of them total, or I should say magazines, they come from 1974 or 1975. They were monthly magazines, and I don't know if they still put this out or not. The American Heritage Society, I do believe, is still around, but I don't know if they're still doing their magazines or not. Just go here and let you see what each one looks like. At least not the parts where my fat fingers are covering. But there's 7 of those. They're kind of cool books to look through, especially if you like old things. All right, reach back over here now. According to Allie, macrame is making a comeback in the world of crafting. And we've got a lot of 7 magazines. Don't know the exact years, but they're from the 1970s. On macrame, it's got patterns and how to do it and things like that. And, well, I'm going to set them down here and hold one up at a time so you can see which ones we have here. We have the one for animal art. You want to make purses or handbags? What do they call them now? Is it purses or handbags? Is that which one is the proper terminology? Well, whichever. You can do it that. Here's another one of the animals. Make you a little raccoon there. How about that? Oh, there's a panda bear there too. Pot hangers. I remember seeing a lot of these. I remember when people used to have a lot of those. And here's another one with handbags or purses, whichever your terminology you prefer. Here's another hang-up one. Getting a little bit fancy there. And last but not least, that macrame magazine right there. So, again, my understanding is that they're making a comeback. So if they are, you want to check that out. Here's something. This is from 1968. First came out in 1954. It's Rocks and Minerals. This is a sticker book. You've got stickers, and you could put them inside the book. Now, I think all of the stickers have been put in here. Kind of get an idea of what the pages look like. Got a little bit of wear going on here on the cover edge, but overall, still in good shape. Get into the world of railroading a little bit. This is called The Diamond. This is a magazine that is put out by the Erie-Lackawanna Historical Society. The Erie-Lackawanna Railroad, of course, was made up of the merger between the Erie and the Delaware-Lackawanna and Western. In 1976, they became part of Conrail. But there's still a lot of people that remember the Erie-Lackawanna, myself included. And this is a book that the Historical Society puts out and gives to members. I guess it's a monthly one. This particular one, or I guess quarterly. It's a quarterly magazine. This is from 2013. Looks like fourth quarter of that year. Some interesting articles about the Erie-Lackawanna, and I think they touch upon the predecessors as well, Erie and the Delaware-Lackawanna and Western. Remember what the Lackawanna was famous for? Phoebe Snow. That was part of their marketing campaign for their passenger trains, that they burned anthracite coal in the steam locomotives, and it was cleaner burning, and it was better when you rode their trains. You look that up. Here's one for you, collecting bottles. This is from 1970, talking about what you want to do if you want to get into collecting bottles. Of course, some of the information, I'm sure, has changed in the ensuing 50 years, but there's a lot of great pictures in this book of the bottles from the early part of the 20th century as well as the 19th century. I saw ball jars in here, some medicine bottle jars, probably like some early Coca-Cola and Pepsi-Cola jars in there as well. So even though some of the information might be dated, it's still got some great pictures. If you collect bottles, you can use to kind of compare things with. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Did you ever want to play the dobro? If you did, here's the book right here. An integral part of country music and bluegrass music and Appalachian mountain music. The dobro, you don't hear it as much anymore as you used to, but still a great sound. And I love the picture here. Cliff Carlisle on the dobro, one of the early pioneers of country music. His brother Bill Carlisle, they used to call him Jumpin' Bill. He's on the guitar here, and of course he is in the Country Music Hall of Fame, longtime member of the Grand Ole Opry. He had several hit records back in the 50s, probably most notably No Help Wanted and Too Old to Cut the Mustard. The banjo player is a guy named Abner Sims. Unfortunately, I don't know a whole lot about him. And the radio station you see on the microphone there, WNOX, well, they're just a couple of hours west of here, Knoxville, Tennessee. Yeah, we're getting down towards the end here. Got a few more books to go. You like my little cheat notes here? Yeah, you really think I knew all those years? This one is from 1957, another book that is set in North Carolina, the old North State here. The Wind in the Forest by Inglis Fletcher. I think it's got a picture of her in here too. Yeah, there it is, right there. And of course, inside cover, you know how they used to put the pictures on the inside of the front and back covers? You still see that occasionally, but they don't do that like they used to. Again, like a lot of these, the book itself is in really good shape. The dust cover is held up reasonably well for its age, 60 plus years. There is some tearing along the edges. I mean, it's definitely got some signs of wear, but still overall in pretty good shape for the dust jacket, and the book in really good shape. This one's a little bit newer, 2002, A Guide to Ohio Streams, from the Ohio chapter of the American Fisheries Society. So if you're into fishing and into lakes and maybe looking for some place to do some fishing, particularly if you live in the Midwest, there you go. That gives you some idea about the state of Ohio and what you can find up there. Again, 2002, but most of that information is going to still be relevant as far as the waterways and the streams and the lakes and such, and what fishes you can find fishes, I don't think that's actual word, what fish you can still find up in the state of Ohio. This book here is from 1962. It actually came out in 1961, but this is a 1962 printing, and it's called Now is the Time by Llewellyn A. Wilcox, and it is a religious book, a book in the world of Christianity, and that's a book that apparently is a little bit on the rare side, or at least scarce in my research. You don't find a whole lot of copies, and they tend to be a little bit on the collectible side as well. From 1974, we have this one here, The New World of Dreams. And yes, it's talking about dreaming. You know, there is science now. Over the past probably 50, 60 years, they actually study dreams and try to figure out why people dream, or what they dream about, or if there's any meaning to the dreams, or if it just means you had too much pizza or whatever. This book here was written by Ralph L. Woods and Herbert B. Greenhouse. That's a heck of a name, Greenhouse. Anyway, dust cover, pretty good shape. Dust jacket, excuse me. The inner parts of the book, really good condition. You can tell right there. There you go. You know, interested in dreams, the science behind that, and I'm sure there's things a lot different now over the ensuing 40-plus years. But still, interesting reading. And, you know, you can still kind of get an idea of where they've gotten to this day and age from the past about 45 years. Looking here, okay, I guess we're at the last book now. And this is a heavy boy. It is. It's about 6 pounds. I weighed it. The Encyclopedia of the Automobile. The Bulow. I'm not sure how you pronounce that. It's probably French, and I'm lousy at French. I have enough trouble with English. This is volume 1. There were 2 volumes of this book, and it covers almost all of the car manufacturers that ever existed in the world. And, I mean, you know, obviously American car manufacturers, but many European and Asian ones are in here as well. Not just the current ones, but ones from back as far back to the days when the automobile was just beginning. So you can find interesting information, interesting histories out in this book. This one goes with car manufacturers from A to F. Now, if you already have Volume 2 and you've been looking for Volume 1, here you go. We've got it right here. Or maybe you just want to get started and, you know, you figure, well, hey, we'll start with the first volume and then worry about getting the second volume later. And again, that's one of those books that you just don't see every day. So when you do see it, you better get it, especially if you're somebody that's really into cars. Well, that pretty much wraps it up. We've got them all right there. Again, check out our eBay and our Etsy stores for the books and records and CDs, trains, home decor, French items, just all kinds of things we have in both stores. Again, the links are in the description down below. And make sure you like the video. Even if you didn't like the video, click like anyway. Just makes us feel better. And also, make sure you hit subscribe as well. I'm Mike of Mike and Allie's Vintage. Thank you for taking a few minutes and joining me here today. We'll be back again soon with more videos of great thrifting hauls and all the fun, interesting items we've sold as well.